I woke up for the gazillionth time about 6 years ago with another hangover. Not a special hangover, just another hangover. I felt shocking. I had anxiety through the roof. I was waking up in the middle of the night, pounding heart, you know, the usual. Everybody is familiar with the waking up in the middle of the night, you know, chugging a pint of water, feeling absolutely awful, and that hollow sort of sicky feeling. And anyway, I woke up like that for the umpteenth time. I don't know, I'd just been, but by the point I'd got to that stage, I was drinking every night. I used to be a social drinker. I used to be a fun drinker, and it was fun until it was no longer fun. I introduced that video like that because that was my story. That was my lived experience. I was a drinker. I'm Brigitte, and I've got a lot of new followers. So I just wanted to explain who I am and why I'm here. I'm no different to a lot of people that struggle with their relationship with alcohol. The only difference is, I think now I did something about it 6 years ago, nearly, at the end of May. But before then, you know, I was somebody that drank through my 20s and my 30s and most of my 40s, and I was doing fine. I would never have said I had a problem with alcohol. I never even used the term, you know, relationship with alcohol. I never questioned my drinking. I just did it and then regretted it, and then did it again and then regretted it. But by the time I got to the stage where I wanted to take a break, I was drinking every night, mindlessly, in front of the telly. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was going through perimenopause symptoms that brought on really bad anxiety. It sort of hit me left field. And I was feeling shit every day. I had aches and pains, my body ached. I had anxiety pretty much all the time, and I had a lot of panic attacks. But I still never thought I had a problem with alcohol. I just started using it to quieten my mind and to ease my mood, just settle my anxiety. Obviously it was causing it, but you know, at the time I believed firmly that it was really helping me settle in the evening, help me sleep, help me calm myself. It was just getting worse and worse, of course. So I signed up for an online challenge and I did a 90-day break. And there was a few reasons why I ended up doing that, and there was a few seeds had been planted that I've covered in other videos. But essentially, a friend of mine had started doing it, and I was like, you know, if she can do it, maybe I can try. And then I had a really, really, really bad migraine that scared the life out of me, made me stop drinking for a few weeks, but I went back to it because that's what we do. And then I discovered I was a middle lane drinker. I wasn't addicted to alcohol. I didn't clinically dependent, you know, I wasn't clinically dependent on alcohol. I didn't need it to function, but I was emotionally dependent on it. I got very, very entangled. I used it for coping. I used it for everything. Good times, drinking. Bad times, drinking. Sad times, drinking. It just became my go-to. Very, very slowly. This didn't happen quickly. This happened over a number of years. And I think that's why a lot of people relate, because they are now where I was 6 years ago. They are arriving at that point where they're going, you know what, this isn't just a fun little evening drink anymore. This is leaking into my daytime. This is making me anxious. It is making my relationships fragile. It's making my productivity low. I feel shit all the time. You know, maybe, just maybe, I need to start looking at this differently. I didn't have TikTok back then. I only started on TikTok about a year ago. I didn't have sober content, but I was a member of Facebook groups, and I read quit literature, and I listened to sober podcasts, whatever I could get my hands on, really. A couple of years into my sober journey, I learned such a lot about myself, and I became really interested in my self-development. I became very curious about this whole topic. I ended up going and getting myself trained in positive psychology, with a specialised module in alcohol free, so I could go and help other people that were in a, stuck in a rut like I was. And here I am on TikTok. I do daily content which more or less addresses anybody that's looking to take a break from alcohol, and also those brave people that are doing it, to help them, keep motivated. That's primarily what my content is, and it's all about middle lane drinking because that's my lived experience. I never felt bad enough to want to go to rehab or anything like that. I never felt bad enough to want to have to go to a meeting. Now, don't get me wrong, the meetings and those recovery steps, they help so many people, but I never felt like it was for me, and I could never really articulate it. I'd never tried, so I can't knock it, but I just never felt like I was bad enough, and I couldn't make sense of it. And when I discovered the whole concept of middle lane drinking, how you can be a really heavy drinker at times, and sometimes a non-drinker, and sometimes a binge drinker, and sometimes then a nightly drinker, but you're not in addiction, you haven't crossed that threshold yet, then it made a lot more sense to me. But the thought of keeping on going and crossing into addiction did terrify me. I mean, I didn't know how long it would be until, never mind an evening drink to settle my nerves, I needed something to steady my hands, in the mornings. I mean, none of us know how close we are, and that's why this is important, because none of us know just how close we are to being in real trouble. And we've got lots of accounts on here and lots of stories that we hear where people have crossed over into addiction, and they've got real big struggles on their hands to get clean and sober. And that is just something that terrified me when I was drinking regularly every night, and that the quantities had increased ever so slightly, ever so slowly over the years, and it went from being a glass of wine to being a bottle of wine easily, no problem, comfortably. So any new followers, I'm sorry this is a long one, but it's important, any new followers, hello, I'm Brigitte. So yeah, I quit drinking when I was 48, and I just turned 48, and I'm going to be 54 this year, and I'm going to be 6 years alcohol free, and it's the best thing I ever did. When I quit drinking, my son was a teenager, he's left home now, he's off at uni. I've got a good life, I've got good friends, I've got good family. I love my alcohol free life. I genuinely these days don't miss it at all. I don't think about it. It's just not, it's irrelevant. Like, of course I can drink, I'm a grown up, but I've done this that long that it's irrelevant. And how I did it was by starting a day one. I literally started, and I did day one, and then 2, and then 3, and I let those days stack up. And while I was doing it, that's when I got the confidence, that's when I learned about this, that's when I leant into the topic. I didn't feel ready, I didn't wait for the best time, I just had to start because I was in a very dark place. I had to just get off the starting blocks, and that's what I do now primarily on here, help people get off the starting blocks, because that's how we get the confidence, that's how we get the momentum. It's just starting and doing a few days, and then doing a few more, and then doing a few more. So a lot of the content on here, my mini series, A Little Break with Bridge, it's rooted in positive psychology. That's what I'm all about. Habit change, becoming, identity change, becoming that person that you want to be, and showing up every day, doing another day alcohol free until it just gets easier and easier and easier. And that's my content. Go and check it out. There's a whole 30 days series there that's there for you if you want to have a little go. 1 day, 7 days, 28 days, whatever you want. But whatever, it's lovely that you're on here. Please follow along, please comment, please share, and I'm so happy that you're here. So good luck with it all.